Hunters of the Jeju Island raiding squad gather together to eliminate the red ants that emerge out of the forest. However, things quickly took a wrong turn as the hunters began to perish one by the ants who overpowered and tried to devour them until the higher-ups, Yunsuk, Min Byung-gyu, and Baek Yunho, arrived to their rescue. Amidst of the battle, a giant white ant appears to confront Yunho, who soon takes him out without much effort. Right after, more white ants appear to confront Yunho and Yunsuk. Meanwhile, Choi Jong-yin in a city nearby observes their battle in the forest and launches his fire attack on the crowd of ants that are approaching, before ordering his own team to charge. This was how we are introduced to hunters and gates. We fast forward to a construction site. Sung Jinwoo arrives to join the other hunters in the raid that soon begins with members greeting him. He sits down and chats for a brief moment with a friend of his, Lee Joo-hee, regardless of the risks of continuing to work as a hunter due to his lack of hunter abilities. Song Chi-yul, the team leader, soon gathers the rest of the team together as he introduces himself before entering the gate of the dungeon. Gaining confidence, Sung Jinwoo is the last to enter the portal. The Korean Association chairman, Go Gun-hee, speaks about the values of the monastones to his assistant, Woo Jin-chul. Currently, in the dungeon, Jin Woo can be seen in danger, as he is seen struggling against a goblin wielding a machete. He attempts to stab the magical beast, only to his shock it shatters, before getting stabbed back in the stomach. Succumbing from his injury on the floor, Park Gi-sul, a team member, takes out the goblin along with Joo-hee healing him from his stab. The team eventually takes out the dungeon boss, as they celebrate with Jinwoo observing while he recovers. Worried, Joo-hee screams at him to express more of her worries. One of the team members notified the rest about the entrance of a cave that he just found. The team voted on whether they should go with Jinwoo the last to make the vote to enter the tunnel, as Joo-hee chose not to. Now in the building of the Hunters Guild, Yoo Jin-ho is seen entering a room upon standing in front of a machine. Meanwhile, in a city, two thieves on a motorcycle attempt to flee after stealing a woman's bag before confronting the S-rank hunter Cha Hai-in, who takes it back and gives it back to the owner. Her action caught the attention of the nearby citizens to gather around her, leading her to flee with the use of her agility by jumping on the buildings nearby. Jinwoo and his team finally arrive at the end of the tunnel, after minutes of walking that ends with a giant door. As they entered, the giant room inside began to light up with blue flames. Except for face magic beasts, the team is confused as to what the place appears to be with all of the ancient statues and instructions. Joo-hee notifies Jinwoo that she just caught the biggest statue in this room, staring at them with him, assuring that she must be seeing things. Out of the blue, the door loudly shuts itself, causing one of the team members to leave in a hurry as he tries to push the door. But to their horror, one of the statues guarding the entrance brutally slaughtered him with its weapon, before getting back to its position. Horrified to witness the statue coming to life, the team members are left speechless, leading Jinwoo to turn around and stare at the biggest of all statues that Joo-hee warned him about. Suddenly, its eyeballs turned toward him. Reacting just in time, Jinwoo screamed for his comrades to duck as the statue's eye began to unleash an attack. A destructive light beam launches at the hunters, incinerating a few of them to ashes. Opening their eyes, the hunters' horror only further, and Jinwoo realizes that they are in grave danger. Paralyzed in fear, Jinwoo's comrades ask each other what to do upon witnessing the traumatizing death of already two of their members before Chi-yul warns them not to move, to not make the statue launch another attack. Jinwoo tries to talk to Joo-hee, who is too traumatized to move by what she just saw. Chi-yul asks Jinwoo how he sees the attack of the statue coming with him, and replies that it was by instinct, before noticing in shock that Chi-yul lost an arm due to the attack of the statue. Jinwoo helps him stop bleeding. Chi-yul says that he estimates the statue to be around an S rank compared to his past experiences as a hunter. Meanwhile, for Jinwoo's sister, Sung Jina is attending school where she's asked by her friend to confirm that her brother is a hunter. She replies that he is only an E rank. Back at the dungeon, Chi-yul and Jinwoo conceive of what to do. Another member is annoyed by their current situation as he already signed his contract with a large association and tries to flee the place utilizing his speed only to get turned into nothing in the blink of an eye by the giant statue's light beam, leaving only his 2 feet left. Despite their fear deepening, they remained composed. Jin Woo asked Chi-yul what was the first rule of the list they had read. Jin Woo decides to test the statue upon being reminded that it is to praise the god, and realizes that the god it is referring to is the giant statue. He stands up before backing down nervously, causing the statue's eyes to glow and stop. Seeing that his thoughts are correct, he yells at the other survivors to kneel to the statue and explains that the statue will only incinerate those who are at a certain limit of height. Upon everyone agreeing, the giant statue's expression soon shifts to a sinister grin. Seeing this in fear, Park Beom-shik stands up and is glad to see that the statue remains motionless. Believing it is over, the rest of the party stands up, but is shocked to see the statue doing the same as it now begins to walk toward them. Thinking of the second commandment, praise the god, one of the members says that he is great at praying and volunteers himself to do so to the incoming statue. As the statue's smile widens and crushes the man under his feet. Paralyzed in fear, another member of the party is too traumatized, leaving her as another victim for the statue. At Park Beom-shik's side, he thinks for his wife and son as he runs to a statue holding a weapon. Kim Sang-shik tries to warn him that the statue behind him is about to attack, but is too late to react as Beom-shik is brutally chopped in half by the statue's sword. Jin Woo soon figures out and orders the survivors to run to the statues holding instruments instead of weapons. Sang-shik sees that Jin Woo is right as he rests and breaks down in tears a bit in front of the statue as it starts to play music. Jin Woo realizes that the statues will not be activated by playing music if 2 people are standing nearby, as he leaves Juhee to the statue and looks for another statue holding instruments. However, Jin Woo's speed leads him to be nearly crushed by the giant statue's foot and accidentally rolls to a statue that holds a shield. Barely the statue's weapon as it drops on him, Jin Woo crawls to a statue holding an instrument right beside and manages to activate it to play music, causing the giant statue to stop pursuing him and get back on his throne, as well as reverting back his expression to how it was previously. As the rest of the party members who survived reunite with Jin Woo, who has lost a leg, Sang-shik grabs his sword and threatens Chi-yul as he reminds that he holds responsibility for the life of their dead comrades. Seeing that the giant statue has also made an altar appear at the center of the place, Jin Woo explains that it is offering to make a sacrifice to one of them. Chi-yul walks to the center, activating a flame. Jin Woo asks 2 of the other survivors to help him walk there alongside Juhee, activating more flames in a circle. Gina is now seen visiting her unconscious mother and informing her about her results at school. Back at the dungeon, the survivors are shocked to see the dungeon's door opening. Despite Jin Woo's instruction for them to not leave, 2 of the members who were helping Jin Woo left in fear, including Sang-shik, who says that he has a family waiting for him in tears. Now with only Juhee, Chi-yul, and Jin Woo left, Chi-yul attempts to stay behind, but Juhee says that her legs are not moving and learns that it is because she used too much of her magic. Jin Woo hands the essence stone that he got earlier to Juhee and tells her to buy food, causing Juhee to ask him in tears how he can still be joking before getting neck chopped by Sang-shik. Jin Woo tells Sang-shik to take Juhee with her. As Chi-yul leaves while carrying Lee Juhee unconscious, a desperate Jin Woo grabs the sword that Sang-shik left behind and speaks in his thoughts about his unfortunate desire to become stronger like others. One of the statues, now close enough, launches his weapon at Jin Woo but misses. Jin Woo is soon mutilated by the statues as his screams echo in the dungeon. Jin Woo leans against the altar and attempts to scream something, but is stabbed by a statue's spear before getting lifted in the air and being thrown onto the altar. Surrounded by his own blood that spread over the altar, he sees in silent horror as one of the statues raises its sword and lands it on Jin Woo. A blue flame goes out, and an interface appears in Jin Woo's mind, asking him to either accept or decline to become a player, with Jin Woo accepting. Jin Woo wakes up in a hospital to his surprise when his body is recovered, including his left leg that's now healed and intact, believing that his experience in the dungeon was just a dream. He is soon greeted by Woo Jin-chul and Kang Tae-shik of the Korean Hunters Association. Jin Chul tells him that he and his comrades only found him collapsed on the floor, with no signs of the statues the other survivors depicted. He then interrogates Jin Woo if he perhaps received the second awakening. Bringing him hope, Jin Woo is asked to place his hand on the manometer that Taishik places in front of him. Excited to see the result, he asks the two men what rank he is now if he has been reawakened. Jin Chul apologizes as they may have made a mistake upon seeing that the machine indicates his score as 10. Having gained his hope for nothing, he questions why they didn't question a message given by the system that Jin Woo appears to be able to see as the officials walked out. Soon Jin Woo's sister Sung Jinwoo enters to express her worries. Jin Woo apologizes and configures whether she can see the message that is in front of him. Knowing that the message is only visible to him, he also asks her what to do when he has unread notifications like in video games. She tells her that he needs to check his info box, although initially confused why he was asking her such a question, before walking out to join her friend waiting at the door. Jin Woo reads some instructions provided by the system, including a quest that asks him to complete some intense workout routines that he believes to be a hallucination. Currently, Jin Chul and Taishik are in their car with Jin Chul on the phone, informing Go Gun-hee that they have mistaken Jin Woo for a reawakening. At the Hunters Guild building, Choi Jong-in assigns Cha Hye-in to participate in the next B-rank raid. Hye-in is assured by Jong-in that she has what it takes for this mission. At another location outside at night, a few civilians are interrupted by a gate that appeared in the middle of a road and questions when the hunters will arrive to clear it. Meanwhile, Jin Woo is sleeping in his room at the hospital, unaware that the limited time of quest he believed to be a joke has ran out, causing a rumbling that he believes to be an earthquake before finding himself in a desert where he receives a message telling him to survive for the next 4 hours as he encounters an enormous centipede that pursues him. Back at Jin Woo's room, two nurses find his bed empty and begin to search for him. For 4 hours in the desert, Jin Woo barely survives his chase from the centipedes and is found exhausted by the nurses at the hospital. The next day, Jin Woo sports himself in a tracksuit as he informs his sister that he'll be heading out. Lee Joo-hee, who is still greatly affected by the experience in the double dungeon, receives a phone call that asks her to participate in a raid, knowing what she has gone through, something that she naturally declines. She's also told that Jin Woo has woken up, leading her to head to the hospital, where she finds him jogging outside as two nurses watch. Jin Woo sits down as he completes more of his quests and begins to understand the functions and rewards he receives. Back inside his room, Jin Woo this time receives a special reward that grants him a key that leads him to the Hapjeong subway station, for instance, dungeon. A news reporter announces that the Hunters Guild will be in charge of the dungeon that appeared in the middle of the road. Jin Woo is then seen visiting his unconscious mother as he gets flashbacks of when he learned she became a victim of the eternal sleep disease. Jin Woo continues his workout routines as he thinks of back in the day when he began to work and when he was qualified to become a hunter so that he could earn money to support her mother. Sometimes after, Jin Woo deems that he is finally ready to use that key he got earlier. Hesitating to enter, he inserts the key in a door that activates the entrance of the dungeon in the subway. However, as he enters, he discovers that he can no longer escape and that he is trapped in another dimension from the real world. As he explores the dungeon that is an abandoned hallway, he soon confronts a couple of goblins. Jin Woo was capable of dodging their attacks and eventually killing them solely. As he rests a bit, a steel-fanged Raken emerges from behind to attack. Barely dodging the wolf, he thinks of what to do for now. Jin Woo discovers that he has gained impressive agility that allowed him to dodge the steel-fanged wolf. He takes the courage to fight back, but to his surprise, he is now capable of sending a powerful blow to the magic beast, sending it flying against the wall. However, Jin Woo knows that he'll not be able to take down the animal barehand. He tries to flee as the beast chases him and thinks for a weapon to use. He discovers that he has access to his inventory provided by the system, allowing him to take out the sword that he got at the double dungeon that was left by Kim Sang-shik to kill the wolf. Two more steel-fanged wolves appear. Jin Woo tries to swing the sword at one of them, but is stopped by the beast's jaw. He inputs more force into his weapon, dispatching the wolf. The second wolf, hesitating to attack, flees. Now alone again, Jin Woo checks for his stats and acquires items instead of magic gems, which he uses to sell to obtain currency in the program. Now thinking how to defeat the boss of this dungeon, Jin Woo spots countless more steel-fanged wolves that emerge from the dark. Determined by courage, Jin Woo rushes to dispatch more of the wolves and slaughtering all of the beasts. He checks his inventory and grabs one of the items he just acquired, a teleportation stone, before walking down into the hallway of the dungeon. Outside, Lee Joo-hee picks up a call from the Hunters Association, notifying her that the gate had a dungeon break. She feels guilty about rejecting their request and agrees to participate as she listens to the person on the phone saying that they are lacking healers. Back at the Instance dungeon, Jin Woo configures that he has indeed become stronger as he comes to understand how the color of the titles of the magic beasts indicates how strong they are comparatively to him. Feeling hesitant about his capabilities to finally face the boss of the dungeon, he takes the courage to walk down the stairs that he comes across. Initially finding himself in silence in a vast sewer, he notices the waves of the water is coming toward him, alerting him something is coming at him before getting sent colliding against the wall. As he gets up, he confronts the snake magical beast, blue venom-fanged Kasaka, who is the boss of the dungeon. Taking a brief moment to examine the appearance of the enemy, he tries to strike a blow with his blade with no result of damage. Jin Woo is sent into a body of water nearby by the snake's tail, where he barely dodges its head. Emerging to the surface, he barely dodges a train that is thrown onto him. Standing up to proceed with the battle, a flashback appears of Jin Woo's conversation with Song Ji-yeol, telling him that he has been nicknamed as the weakest hunter and encourages him to work harder to prove the wrong. The snake continues to overpower Jin Woo as it sends the man flying through the wall. Attempting more to breach the snake's scale with his sword, he eventually lets go of his weapon and uses the force in his hand to break through the beast's armor. Jin Woo puts more force as he grabs onto the snake's armor, with the beast flying across the place. Eventually, he is able to put enough force to kill the beast. He acquired Kasaka's venom fang. The snake's corpse along with the dungeon disappears, reverting the instant dungeon back into the Hapjeong subway station. As he takes the stairs to exit the dungeon, he is spotted by a soldier who scolds him for being here before realizing that he is a hunter and guides him out of the sight. As he follows the soldier, he asks him if magic beasts have got out after a dungeon break. The man replies that most of them were killed with a giant one left, which is something that Jin Woo could feel and detect its location as a result of his enhanced senses granted by the system. The gigantic beast is a blue golem that several hunters are struggling to defeat as civilians at the back are watching with Jin Woo among them. Jin Woo could easily tell that the hunters' ranks were too low to defeat the beast and spots Joo-hee among them, who is trying to use healing magic but fails as a result of her trauma she got back at the double dungeon. Jin Woo decides to give them a bit of his aid as he figures out that the boss is only a D rank, lower than the magic beast he fought earlier, as he prepares to throw the sword he used against the boss earlier. The hunters are on the verge of defeat when Jin Woo's sword easily breaches the golem's defense, allowing the hunters to defeat the beast for good. One of the hunters questions how the golem's defense was suddenly destroyed, as his and the others' attacks were useless. He then sees a broken sword among the rubble and asks a soldier nearby who threw the sword that just flew hit the golem. Replying that an anonymous hunter at the back did it, the hunter is left speechless by Jin Woo's tremendous power. Jin Woo, having left the site, says that the golem was probably already weakened before he threw his sword. Joo-hee sees him in the alley and wonders if it was him.